All right, welcome everybody. Oh man, this story cracked me up. You know what? I got to give some background before we get into Chat GPT and their algorithms and the magic investing formulas that it was able to come up with. Anyway, for years, I mean, it's going back years. There's always some latest and greatest new technology out there that's going to destroy this industry, that industry. And they always talk about it in terms of also Wall Street finance. And let's be honest, some of that's kind of accurate. I mean, it used to be massive trading floors with the firms would have, and that they just don't exist anymore. A lot of stuff is gone the way of the algorithm. Whether or not it performs better or worse, I don't know. I mean, it costs them less money to obviously operate. But I got to go back to the 1990s when all of the Ameritrades, the E-Trades, the DLJ Directs, all of these discount houses were springing up here, there, and everywhere. And Stewart from Ameritrade going to shake the market up and down, and E-Trade with the Super Bowl commercial with money coming out the wazoo. Anyway, the idea is that, oh boy, it's going to destroy the financial advisors out there. It's going to destroy stockbrokers at the time. And I said, no, it's not. No, it's not. It's not going to hurt Wall Street. It's not going to do anything close to that. What it's going to do is it's going to bring a lot of people that don't know what they're doing, a lot of weak investors and weak traders into the market, so the big firms can pick them off. And that still happens to this day. I get a kick out of these people. All right, trader, I got that 3-4 screens up and going and their charts going there. And I'm like, you really think you can compete? You can't. So again, little Sun Tzu, The Art of War. You might not want to engage in that battle. It doesn't make any sense. Anyway, let's get to Chat GPT, because again, oh my God, this artificial intelligence, look what it can do. And it's kind of neat, man. I passed the bar exam, passed the medical board. It's doing all of these neat things. I mean, Microsoft, we talked about it, making a massive investment. Well, Bloomberg asked ChatGPT to make a market-beating ETF, exchange-traded fund. We want you to ask ChatGPT to put together a market-beating ETF. Making no sound effects up there. But anyway, ChatGPT can analyze charts, data, thousands of pages a second. Thousands. You want to know what it came up with? It is not possible for me to design an ETF that will beat the US stock market because the stock market is unpredictable and past performance does not guarantee future results. Additionally, the composition of an ETF should be based on a thorough analysis of the market and a strategy for achieving specific investment goals, which I do not have the information or expertise to provide. It is important to consult with a financial advisor before investing in any ETF or stock to understand the potential risks and rewards of the investment and ensure that it aligns with your investment goals and risk tolerance. Holy crap! ChatGPT sounds a lot like me, doesn't it? Same crap I've been trying to get across to people for decades here on the program. And more often than not falls on deaf ears. It was funny. They mentioned this briefly on CNBC. And you know what time they did it? They did it at the 5 a.m. hour, between 5 a.m. and 6 a.m. I was at the gym and had the television on and was listening and watching and doing all that stuff. And yet they mentioned it briefly. But again, why they can't let this cat out of the bag, like we told you. All of these Wizard of Smart experts that come on and tell you to do this, that, the next thing, they're all full of crap. That's not what financial preparation is. I don't call it financial planning anymore. It's financial prep. Why is it prep? Because you know what? We're preparing for everything, the inevitable. What we're doing is preparing for all of the opportunities that you're going to have throughout your life. Spot on. How in the world do you make a recommendation when you don't have all of the information provided? This goes back to when I started the radio show. You go back to 2000 when I started the radio show. And I was at, hey, Chris, we really want you to do, we like your personality, going on, all this stuff. And I made him all these calls, Enron.coms, and I was right on everything. You need to do a buy, sell, and hold program. No. I refuse to do it. Again, it would probably, show would probably be much more widely distributed. There's no doubt about that. No doubt about that. It'd make probably for better ratings, but that's not why I'm doing this. I'm here because I have a fiduciary duty to do the right thing by you. That's my job. I don't, again, when I mean you, there's a lot of yous out there listening. And each and every one of you is different from the person next to you or the person down the street, the person listening in Alaska versus the person that might be listening in Santa Fe, New Mexico. I mean, it's how do I make a recommendation? I don't know what your situation is. I don't know where you are. I don't know timeframes. I don't know all of these things. So all of this buy, sell, and hold crap is completely irresponsible. Anyway, what else did it ask here? This is interesting. Again, they asked ChatGPT to design an ETF to deliver a return uncorrelated to the U.S. stock market. And again, this is institutional type stuff. They listed a diverse range of assets that have a low or negative correlation. Bonds, different sectors, maturities, commodities, including physical commodities, gold, silver, oil, agriculture products, real estate, alternative investments, private. I mean, again, that's just, yeah, okay, that's how you deliver an uncorrelated return. One more question that it asked, which is kind of interesting too. Where is it? Here we go. Explain whether artificial intelligence, they asked ChatGPT whether artificial intelligence can pick stocks better than a human. And this is what they got back. Artificial intelligence has the potential to analyze large amounts of data quickly and identify patterns that might not be immediately apparent to humans. This can make it a valuable tool for identifying potential investment opportunities. However, whether AI can pick stocks better than a human depends on the quality and effectiveness of the AI, again, garbage in, garbage out algorithms, and the models used. Again, how about those Federal Reserve algorithms and models? Inflation's transitory. Anyway, AI-powered investment strategies can be complex, and the performance of an AI-powered stock picker will depend on the underlying data, models, and assumptions used. It is important to note that AI is not infallible and can make mistakes, especially if the data used to train the model is biased or incomplete. Additionally, AI-powered investment strategies are not immune to market fluctuations and can be affected by market conditions, just as human-driven strategies can. Another important factor to consider is that AI-powered investment strategies are still in their infancy, and it is not yet clear how they will perform over the long term. In summary, AI has the potential to be a valuable tool for identifying investment opportunities, but it is not a magic solution. Son of a gun, guys, we didn't find the magic box again. Geez, keep searching for the magic money box. And yeah, not a magic solution that can always pick stocks better than a human. It is important to conduct thorough research, including consulting with a financial advisor before making any investment decisions. Well, I guess I'm still going to have a job. Anyway. Boy. Inflation data today. Consumers spent less in December. Even though prices are starting to ease. Personal consumption expenditures, excluding food and energy, increased 4.4% from a year ago, down from 4.7%. The core PCE increased by 0.3%. Consumer spending was even less than already modest estimates, including that the economy slowed at the end of 2022, which we all know. We can take a look at the retail sales numbers. Again, inflation is easing. We know this. What we don't know, and we talked about this yesterday, and we talked about it in the past, I don't know what type of dumb things the Fed might do. I don't know. Let's say the members of the Fed, I don't know, they go out and they get hammered the night before the meeting. They come back in, they're hungover, they're cranky, and they said, screw it, we're going to raise by 100 basis points. Ha, 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 ha. Market tanks. Could it happen? Yeah, it could. It could, right? Now, they could also come in and say, hey, you know what? We're done now. We're done. I can't tell you, what's going to happen. I mean, right now, consensus says a quarter basis point, which is already baked into the overall market. But again, stuff happens. How do you deal with stuff? Okay, stuff happens. I remember in Forrest Gump when he's running, he's doing that run across the country. That was a popular bumper sticker and pin from the 1970s. Shit happens, and he's running across. He's being interviewed, and he steps in a pile of dog shit, and you just have to shit. What did he say? It happens sometimes. Yeah. Forrest Gump invented that line and that, bumper sticker, I guess. But anyway, yeah, you have to know that it's going to happen sometimes, and how your portfolio is structured and whether or not you're able to deal with these things. Well, that's what's going to make you successful. Trying to guess or bet what's going to happen over the short term, exercise in futility. Yeah, again, I'll kind of put this in a different way. That popped in my head. Gordon Gekko. Remember, he's telling Buddy that he only bets on sure things. He wanted inside information. If you're not inside, you're outside, and that's what Bud Fox did. And he bought into the janitorial business and was inside law firms and looking at non-public information on companies that they could act on. Hey, kind of like what Congress has been doing for a long period of time. Even though they can do it legally, it's illegal for us to do it. Anyway, neither here nor there, okay? You don't know what's going to happen. You're not privy to any of this information. So again, okay, how do you go about positioning yourself? You know this, okay? All of this information is available to you. Own high quality. Own companies that pay you to own them. Understand that compounding is the royal road to riches. And guess what? You'll be enormously successful. Anyway, more layoffs. Hasbro cutting its workforce by 1,000 positions, 15% of its workforce, at a very weak winter, Christmas season with the toys. And again, I'm starting to look at this as almost the entire industry starting to change. I go out and about. Do kids still play with toys, or is it just all video games now? My kids did, but I remember my kids were into all the superhero stuff. That's what they were into. I remember my Stephen, my oldest. My wife made me go out. That's when he was little. Made me go out and get all the Thomas the Train stuff and the table and all of it. And they were nice toys, a wooden track and all this stuff. Play with it a little bit. And he just sat there. He wasn't interested. Wasn't his thing. And yeah, I don't know how much money I spent on that. But anyway, again, I don't know what kids do. They always seem to be on their screens now. I'm sure toys play a part, but toy sales not doing too well, and Hasbro's laying some people off. Intel's earnings, how should I put it? Sucked. They were bad. Decline in sales, profit, gross margin, and outlook. And again, they don't think things are getting much better at all. I'll be honest, I don't even know how long Intel is going to be in the Dow, quite frankly. And again, you can kind of see the writing on the wall with some of these things. And Apple's making its own chips now, and I don't know. I don't know. I mean, like I said, I've done that bit before. Even blue chips die. They do sometimes. Chevron's numbers, wow. $35.5 billion annual profit. And oh my God, yeah, that definitely triggered the White House and the lefties out there, because you got an evil company out there making all of this money. Why are they evil? They produce a product that people want to buy, that need to buy. They produce a product that makes the world go round. And hey, there are times, guess what? When oil companies don't make much money. Everybody go back. How much money were these oil companies making, during COVID? Again, it happens. That's the business that they're in. Again, you got to take a look at that. That dollar amount is equivalent to the stock market value of Target, Moderna, and Airbnb. Wow. Revenue of 246.3 billion. And again, there's people look at these numbers and they get thrown off by it. But I'm like, yeah. People have to heat their homes. Petroleum is used in plastic. You have to put it in cars. I mean, why wouldn't they do well? And people get angry about it. And I say, what the great thing about this country is, guess what? Chevron is not owned by some sort of Ukrainian or Russian oligarch. You too can become an owner of one of these companies if you choose to. Anyway, 25 states hit the Biden administration with a lawsuit over, their BS ESG nonsense. Who's led by the Utah Attorney General. You got Louisiana, Texas, Virginia, and others. It has to do with that Department of Labor rule. I was on Fox Business talking about this. The rule opens up the door for fiduciaries to factor so-called environment, social, and governance considerations into Americans' retirement accounts. And that might, I know it will, that will hinder investment returns. And I quote, the Biden administration is promoting its climate change agenda by putting everyday people's retirement money at risk. Americans are already suffering from the current economic downturn. Permitting asset managers to direct hardworking Americans' money to ESG investments puts trillions of dollars of retirement savings at risk in exchange for someone else's political agenda. We are acting with urgency on this case because this illegal rule is set to take effect next week. It must be stopped. Okay. The ERISA requirement, we went over this on the program. It requires retirement plan assets to be held for the exclusive purpose of providing benefits to participants. And the fiduciary, I'm a fiduciary, I have to act solely in your best interests. What this rule does, and they dropped this rule, Biden dropped this rule, I think it was the day before Thanksgiving, if I'm not mistaken. It says it gives fiduciaries a get out of being a fiduciary card. Basically, it's what it is. Here you go. So you can provide shitty returns to your clients and give the excuse saying, well, I was trying to provide, an ESG, I had to make sure that there was enough alphabet people on the boards of directors. Uh, yeah, yeah, that's what it does. And I get a kick out of this because then it will allow basically the excuse for bad advisors and bad fiduciaries to get out of everything. And they can call up the ESG card. Now, we got the race card that's played all the time. We got the alphabet card that's played all the time. And now we're going to have the ESG card that's going to be able to be played by bad advisors out there. Great. Anyway, GDP numbers. I want to dive into them a little bit deeper than we did yesterday. Taking a look, I mean, we had 2.9% to the upside. Again, though, you gotta look a little deeper. Businesses restocked inventories. Okay, we had supply chain issues that have obviously gotten better. That was that right there is 1.46% of the GDP growth. Exports added 0.56, but none of this is going to really be sustainable. And also, big lift was government spending, which increased 3.7% and contributed 0.64%. Cause for concern: 6.7% fall in fixed private investment. A lot of that housing down to the downside. That's, again, it's inevitable. You're raising rates, things are changing. That's got to work its way through, and it's working its way through right now. And again, it will. Okay, everything will correct. It just takes a little bit of time. So capital expenditures down 3.7%. Businesses are not spending as much money, keeping their powder dry. And again, I get that, but that, my friends, can change on a dime. And, as companies are figuring out where they are, and I've mentioned this before, slowdowns and recessions, companies reassess. Like I said, I call it the lymphatic system of the human body. It's kind of like what a recession or a slowdown is. Companies go and they say, okay, we don't need these workers. We don't need this. We're spending too much money on this. And if they're smart, they do that. And when you got a period like right now, when they're talking about, I got all macroeconomic headwinds, it gives all of these companies a get out of jail free card for laying people off, and they don't look like the bad guy. Now, could you imagine if Chevron announced layoffs after the quarter that they just had? Anyway, neither here nor there. Let's move on. Oh yeah, American Express's numbers were off the charts too. I mean, it's a mixed bag. Visa's was great. For the most part, you're a little over 70% with companies so far meeting or beating expectations. I think it's about 27% have not. Okay. Next week's big. Next week is the biggest week of earnings announcements, and you got obviously a lot of big tech companies that are in the mix as well. The World Health Organization today said that we should be stocking up on radiation meds. Not kidding. I mentioned this before. This is can't even call it a black swan. Okay, you can't, because it's out there. It's out there. What's taking place with Russia in the Ukraine is it's happening. And we talked about tanks and escalation, corruption. We went over the whole lead up to this conflict, which dates back to the 1990s. Lockheed Martin said that it's ready to meet demands for F-16 fighter jets if the United States and its allies choose to ship them to Ukraine. Again, people, you got to play these scenarios out in your mind. Okay, you gotta think about when decisions are made. The type, again, Congress doesn't do this. I call it the cathedral of unintended consequences. What if one of those F-16 jets fires a missile at St. Petersburg or Moscow? Then what? I'm just people. This is not a good situation at all. And been saying for a while, okay, we need to be in the de-escalation camp. Anyway, in an unexpected swing, Germany's public now favors nuclear power. Hey, you're not getting all that cheap Russian energy anymore, are you? No. Again, this dates back to the 1980s. And, West Germany all pissed off at NATO and the United States for putting missiles and, the no nukes and all this stuff. Again, we provide their defense. I mean, what exactly do they do? I mean, we already make fun of Germany all the time. They don't even have guns for their troops. You have to train with wooden toy guns. I'm not kidding. But they used to have 19 working nuclear power plants back in the 1990s. They now have 3. Again, it has to be part of the solution, my friends. It really does. Again, you think about the advances that we have. You think about some of these modular reactors. The issue is it's the politics behind it. So politics and some lawsuits, and we mentioned Jamie Dimon from J.P. Morgan was asked about this and financing it, and he kind of laughed because this is a risk management guy. I said, I'm going to get involved in financing projects like that when they can take over 10 years just to get the permits through. And you want to tie your money in something like that just might go away? I mean, I don't know. The cost of money for these projects, because of all of this nonsense, makes it cost prohibitive. It does. And it doesn't have to be that way. Anyway, this is extraordinarily interesting. We kind of suspected this in regards to how the public health apparatchik and how they were overcounting hospitalizations and deaths from COVID-19. And when you're admitted into a hospital, you're tested for COVID. And then if you have COVID, you're counted as a COVID hospitalization, even if you're completely asymptomatic. When patients die, COVID is often listed on their death certificates, even if it played no part in killing them. Government programs create incentives to overestimate COVID's toll, and poor data make it difficult to pinpoint who is still at risk and how effective the boosters are. That doesn't surprise me. It doesn't. Some of these things, under the federal public health emergency, hospitals get it's in its 4th year right now. Hospitals get a 20% bonus for treating Medicare patients diagnosed with COVID-19. So again, you're the hospital administrator, right? Isn't that the role of Tootsie? Didn't she run the hospital? Dustin Hoffman, that was a great movie. Tootsie from the 1980s. If you're Tootsie and you're running a hospital, you're saying to yourself, wait a second, I can't get in trouble for putting COVID down, and our hospital is going to get 20% more in a reimbursement? Done. That's what they're doing. And again, I didn't even know this, okay? I didn't know this existed. The American Rescue Plan 2021, Biden, authorizes FEMA. I didn't know that FEMA has to pay for death expenses for funeral services for COVID-19, cremation, caskets, travel, everything. The benefit can be worth as much as $9,000 a person or $35,000 a family if multiple members die. Who knew? FEMA paid out $2.9 billion in COVID-19 death expenses. I guess funeral homes and whatnot, they were advertising these things. I'm usually abreast of some. I had no idea. No idea. Several physicians said that they're concerned that hospitals are being pressured by families to list COVID-19 on a death certificate. Just try and leave COVID off a death certificate of a person who's asymptomatic, positive, and died in a car accident. One infectious disease doctor said, just try. No one was willing to be quoted by name, unsurprisingly, since the implication is that their hospitals are falsifying death certificates. Not surprised at all. Senator Josh Hawley introducing a bill banning TikTok from the United States. Yep. TikTok is China's backdoor into Americans' lives. It threatens our children's privacy as well as their mental health. Yeah, I get the privacy part, but all of the social media companies out there are bad for kids. They are. I mean, I'm a parent. A while back, long time ago, again, this is when they were, this is going back to the early parts of remember it was the Facebook, and then it was just Facebook, and now it's Meta, and Twitter. I describe social media. This is the way I describe social media, and I think I've been proven correct. As the pink slime ooze that went underneath New York City in Ghostbusters 2. You remember Ghostbusters 2? Remember Vigo? Yeah, there was the pink slime. And the pink slime was negative energy, and it made people want to fight and argue with one another. That's social media. I mean, I get it. The original idea, and again, this is how it should be used, but it's not. Hey, good to see you. How you been? Look at the kids. They look great. All that, positive, good. It's not that. It's not that, and we know it. Anyway, DeSantis, man, I love this guy. And anyway, I call it. I gotta almost have a segment on the program, daily segment. It's gonna be like Casey Kasem's Top 40 show that I used to love. Used to love that show when I regular listener. I used to have one of those. Remember those old tape recorders where you have to hit play and record at the same time, and listen to songs, and I'd have the cassette, I play and record, trying to listen to the radio and record it. Obviously, no concern for sound quality, but anyway, neither here nor there. I loved Casey Kasem's Top 40. Ew. And again, Sirius satellite radio, sometimes on the 70 station, they'll play an episode from way back in the day. It's good stuff. Anyway, you got to have Ron DeSantis's, you want to call it his Top 40, because he just keeps bringing on the hits. DeSantis is now proposed. Again, I guess it depends on your way of thinking. To me, this is fantastic. Ron DeSantis proposed changes to Florida's state criminal justice laws, including making child rapists eligible for the death penalty and reducing the number of jurors required to dole out capital punishment. And that he's citing the case of Nicholas Cruz, Parkland shooter. Again, it's capital crime in the state of Florida, but in order to get the death penalty, it has to be voted on completely. Okay, across the board, everybody, it has to be unanimous, and some jurors didn't vote for the death penalty. Again, he wants it to make it a majority of the jurors in this case. He said one juror should not be able to veto that. I don't think justice was served in that case. Obviously, Nicholas Cruz case. If you're going to have capital punishment, you have to administer it to the worst of worst crimes. Love it. Again, the guy just keeps knocking out of the park. I haven't heard the reaction to this from the folks over at MSNBC, but I'm sure it's going to be entertaining. That's for sure. Anyway, have a great day. WatchDog on wallstreet.com. Have a great weekend. Don't forget, they'll have my national radio show will be posted sometime tomorrow, so you can have a listen to that as well. Again, tell your friends, sign up for the podcast, all sorts of good stuff at our website. Take advantage. WatchDog on WallStreet.com. We'll see you.